Welcome to Evoke Greatness. We are officially entering year 3 of this podcast, and I am filled with so much gratitude for each and every one of you who've joined me on this incredible journey of growth and self-discovery. I'm Sonnie, your host and fellow traveler on this path of personal evolution. This podcast is a sanctuary for the curious, the ambitious, and the introspective. It's for those of you who, like me, are captivated by the champion mindset and driven by an insatiable hunger for growth and knowledge. Whether you're just beginning your journey or you're well along your path, you're going to find stories here that resonate with your experiences and aspirations. Over the last 2 years, we've shared countless stories of triumph and challenge, of resilience and transformation. We've laughed, we've reflected, and we've grown together. And as we've evolved, so too has this podcast. Remember, no matter what chapter you're on in your own story, you belong here. This community we've built together is a place of support, inspiration, and shared growth. Where intention goes, energy flows, and the energy you bring to this space elevates us all. So whether you're listening while commuting, working out, or enjoying your morning coffee, perhaps from one of those motivational mugs I'm so fond of, know that you're a part of something special. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your curiosity, your openness, and your commitment to personal growth. As we embark on year 3, I invite you to lean in, to listen deeply, and to let these stories resonate with your soul. I believe that a rising tide raises all ships, and I invite you along in this journey to evoke greatness. Welcome back to part 2 of Unleashing Your Potential with my guest, Justin Roethlingshoefer. This second part is really going to hit it home for those of you who love analytics and data like I do. Justin shares valuable insights on using data to drive health decisions for entrepreneurs and business leaders. And then he even goes a layer deeper and talks about something that was really fascinating to me, and that is the importance of heart rate variability as a unified metric for your overall health. He shares his concept of the commitment ladder and its role in achieving long-term goals, and he takes us home as he walks through true commitment is really about having a whatever-it-takes mentality. I hope you have enjoyed his insights and his story as much as I have, so let's hop into part 2. How have you taken all of this that you've gone through, all of these almost like personal exercises, suffering, lessons? How do you
Stupidity?
we always talk about the success being at the mountaintops, right? But I have always found that like the most success is like the cold, dark, deep valley where where everything is screwed up and nothing's turning out like it should, and you've got bloodied knees, and like that's where the most powerful lessons come that lead you to success. It's interesting because being able to talk about it on this side of it, you're just able to share the lessons without necessarily the emotion tied to a win or a loss. And that, I think, is where we're able to like really articulate those powerful lessons along the way.
For sure. I mean, you look at me, I mean, if you met me 6 years ago, it's just a very different person. It's a person that's insecure. It's a person that's emotional. It's a person that would boast. It's a person that would embellish. It's a person that would perform. Where today it's like, how much smaller can I make myself? How much more fun can I poke at myself? How else can my failures enhance what you're trying to do and what you're going through? Because at the end of the day, we came from dust, to dust will return. And along the way, we're just trying to become a little bit more gracious, a little bit more humble, a little bit more joyful, a little bit more faithful, a little bit more hopeful, a little bit more self-control. And if we can lean into that and exude the fruit that people look at and go, man, this guy just loves so well. This guy seems to just be at peace. This guy just seems to have so much joy. This guy just seems to be so hopeful. Where does that come from? It doesn't come from me. It doesn't come from anything I've done. It doesn't come from anything I've accomplished. It doesn't come from anything that I have. It just comes from a deep sense of knowing that God's put me on this earth for a purpose. I'm simply sitting here, hands up. What do I do? You lead me, and I'll be able to step into it. And I think I think something that kind of comes back to this and how I've been able to really just keep a discipline together. Everyone always asks, like, what discipline do you embark on or enact that allows you to stay in it daily? And I've got this saying that's paired with an acronym, and it's slow is smooth and smooth is fast. Because we live in a fast-paced world where everybody wants to go fast, everyone wants to do things fast, everyone wants to accomplish things fast. And on the other side, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Where slow is the acronym, stillness, silence, and surrender allows you to listen, to have the opportunity to be obedient, so you can gain the wisdom for what to do next. And it's something I practice every single day. For me, that place happens to be my sauna. That's where I live every single morning. You'll find me there. Nothing comes in there. There's no phones allowed. There's no talking allowed. There's no anything. It's just stillness, silence, surrender. And that's where I continue to be able to come back and humble myself and be in that space. And throughout the day, if something gets under my skin, if something irritates me, if I find myself spiraling, right to the sauna. Like it's the go-to, it's the mechanism, it's the default. And by staying ahead of that, that's what allows me to kind of stay in that same mind space so that you can, again, show up as nothing, be able to figure out where you can serve so that you can ultimately gain the steps to go forward.
How do you help others identify their untapped potential, their areas to be in tension with? And what would you tell people is kind of the first step to getting to that place?
Yeah, so it's a great question. And this is just, again, why I formed Own It and what Own It was all about, founded on the concept of ownership. Like, what does it mean to take ownership of your health? And when we talk about health, it's mental, physical, spiritual, emotional. However, at the end of the day, I think a lot of us who we serve the entrepreneur, the business owner, the business leader. That's who we serve. That's our audience. And the reason that I want to redeem the health of the leader and help them win in an area that they've traditionally lost in is because it's not that they don't care about health. It's not that they think that it's unimportant. It's that everything that they've tried in the past has led them into a space of failure. They haven't been able to lose the weight. They haven't been able to stick to the routine. They haven't been able to feel energized. They haven't been able to stay asleep. They haven't been able to go to sleep. They've tried everything, but still had the hormone issues. They've tried to do everything, but they still have the headaches and the brain fog. They don't know what to do. And so because they don't know what to do, and they have lost with everything they've tried, they don't focus on it. They don't make it a priority, because why would I focus on something that I lose in when I can focus on family, business, finances, investments, things that actually I win in and that I'm very good at, that continue to provide for my family, that continue to give me the lifestyle, that continue to maintain my confidence, so I can drive the Mercedes, I can have the nice vacations, I can have the family time, I can wear the nice clothes, I can do the things that actually bring me joy. And over here, I can just compromise my way out of this because I'm not dying today. I'll die at some time, but this isn't actually going to hurt me today. So I'm going to stay over here. And that's where we want to help people, is help them to see and help them win in an area that they've traditionally lost, so that they can maintain sustainability, maintain capacity to continue to win at an elevated level at everything that they're already winning in.
And how, in pursuit of that greatness, in pursuit of, I won't say balance, but I guess better trying to show up in each of those areas, each of those spaces, maintaining mental health, how do they maintain those things and avoid burnout, avoid feeling like they're tipping the scales?
Yeah. So then this comes back to like just really how we work with people, and I come back to a little bit of my journey in the NHL and really where things changed, or what I guess vaulted me into that category of expert in these different areas, was I was doing my doctoral research in heart rate variability and sleep. And where we come back to with the entrepreneur or the business leader is we have never understood what it meant to use data to make decisions. We've always made decisions on our health based on feelings, emotions, what it is that's convenient. Well, instead, I want to use data to drive decisions, just like you would use data to drive decisions in your business and your investments and what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. And so we use data to drive decisions for the entrepreneur and the business owner. And heart rate variability is the single most unified metric that looks at mental, physical, spiritual, emotional response to the stressors that are going on in your body every single day. And so by using heart rate variability, by using sleep quality, by using cellular deficiencies, and by using epigenetic information, we can now really get a great underlying understanding of what's happening in that person, create a hyper-personalized approach based on the season of life that they're in, based off of the demographics in which they're living, based off of the goals, dreams, and hopes in which they're operating in, the time of season in their family's life, and really then hold them accountable. So data with a personalized system, with hyper accountability through personal relationships, that is where we get inevitable success. It's inevitable that you're going to win. It's why we've worked with thousands of people by now and have retention rates of 80+%, where people start to win and they love to win. You know what it feels like to win. You're like, I want to win in my health. This is an area I want to win in. Well, now all of a sudden I've been walking around blind, but now the covers have been lifted and now I see. It's so obvious as to what I need to do. It's so obvious as to how I can maintain this temple and steward this body that I have so that I can go and have a greater capacity. I can have a more sustainability. I can have longevity within what it is that I'm trying to do. I tell this story all the time where in the world of the NHL and athletics, there was a cost to being an athlete, getting run into the boards every single night, a cost to practice, a cost to games, a cost to 80 flights a year, a cost to 3 time zone changes on a weekly, sometimes daily basis. All of these things that you were having to go through, there was a cost. And because of that, people like me, teams like me were hired to make sure that we could mitigate the cost on that athlete so they could have a longer career. They could sign, that meant they could sign more contracts. That means that they were less injury prone. That means that they were less sickness prone. That means that the team would perform better. So there was a high value component there. And there was a purpose and an intention as to why we were doing this, and being in tension for creating lifestyle and habit behavior changes for the athlete in order for the outcome of what they desired. Well, what we fail to remember is there's a cost to leadership and business. There's a cost to the shoes that you wear. And the remedy is not a vacation once a year. The remedy is not a Peloton bike or a gym membership. The remedy is not random intermittent fasting that's your version of what you think is the way in which to do it. It's not massage once a quarter. It's purposeful and intentional habit and behavior change that is directed by data so that it's, you know, that the energy, time that you're spending is being used appropriately to take you in the direction that you're wanting to go, so that we can have a plan that allows you to be sustainable, allows you to have a greater capacity, and ultimately allows you to be more impactful in the areas that you are wanting to be.
What's so interesting is tying it back to, because oftentimes there's the business successes, and yet people are feeling miserable. Their sleep is horrible. You have all of these internal issues that they are really battling with. But when you relate that to how they are utilizing data in a workplace, like I always tell people, hey, you have to know what levers to pull. And I guess that's really transfers to all areas of life, is understanding what levers to pull to achieve whatever desired outcome, be it your health,
exactly it.
be it, psychologically, be it your spirituality, any of those things. So I love that you bring that back to, you can use data any which way to better your performance, better your health, better whatever area it is that you want to focus on.
It's the one thing that drives awareness. We always say everyone's so quick. Like, this is what I always have a challenge with in this personal development space and any self-improvement space that people talk about. Everybody recycles the same lines. What gets measured gets managed. You want to improve something, you have to gain awareness first. If your outcomes are always going to be the ceiling based upon your standards, decisions are simply opening of different pathways, your habits create your future. We've all heard all the lines. But what does that actually mean? What does it mean in practice? Does it mean that I have to go cold plunge every single day in order to have a $5 million business and be joyful every single day and feel good? Absolutely not. That would be ludicrous. But yet we see everybody posting cold plunging everywhere, and cold plunging is blown up because it's doing the hard thing that should be great for your health. But that's not the answer for everybody. That's not the intention that I need you to be in. In fact, the intention should actually be to help shut you down at night so that you can spend some more intentional time with your kids. And that, if you're honest with yourself, now like we're getting real talk here, that's the hard thing, because you don't want to spend time with your kids, because if you spend time with your kids, you have to have patience. You have to actually take up a little bit of, be tolerable. You have to gain a little bit of energy and put back into those children. And so when you think about that's your intention point, and not being on the computer until 11, 12 o'clock at night, which is keeping you from getting greater night's sleep. And if you were actually just spend the last 2 hours of your night from 7 o'clock till 8:30 with your kids, and then you yourself go to bed at 9:30 or 10, and then wake up refreshed in the morning, you'd actually be better off. You'd actually be more impactful. You'd actually be able to start seeing some of the fruit that you desire in your life. No, you know what? I'm just going to take the supplement and pop in the cold plunge because that's how everybody else is doing it, and just lean into greater stressors because that's what the world tells me I need to do. But deep down inside, you know you're not well. Deep down inside, you know you're overwhelmed. Deep down inside, you know you're spiritually frustrated. Deep down inside, you know you're exhausted and burnt out. But you can't admit that to anybody because that would show weakness. That would show that you're actually having some level of awareness. But it's easier to tuck it away, easier to look at the wins that you're having in business, that you're seemingly having in family, that you're seemingly have in the cars that you're driving, the houses you're in, and the vacations you're in, and the company that you keep. And so the longer that you stay in this, the longer you tell yourself this, the longer you compromise, it ends up being death by 1,000 cuts. And one day you'll lift your head up and you'll go, how did I get here? But instead, if we rewound that and we took that same person we just described and we looked at HRV, which is going to be severely suppressed, meaning severely low, meaning an indication that the body's not adapting well to the stress and strain it's under. We looked at sleep quality, which would be very low, meaning we're not actually getting the sleep quality and sleep depth we need. We look at cellular deficiencies, which would be very high because we're not getting the nutrition we need. And because we have higher levels of stressors, we're using nutrients at a higher level that we're not replenishing at the level in which we need. And then tie that back to what we actually need to operate with intentionally. Man, my eyes could be opened and I could make 3 very simple changes and I would have a very different outcome down the road. But it requires you to run your body like you would your business, like you would your investments, like you would your financial portfolios. And when you do that, it doesn't become a question based on opinion, thoughts, and feelings, but data is now what allows us to take that powerful step.
And I think so often people want to fix their life, right? Define fix in whatever capacity each person, every single person probably has a little bit different of a version of that. But what they want to do is, it's like, it reminds me of the thoughts around December 29th, right? What am I going to do for this New Year's resolution? And how am I going to completely turn around and change the course of my life from the 31st to the 1st? Well, I'm going to throw everything I can at it. It's not going to be direction oriented. It's not going to be specific or focused, but I'm going to dump all of these things. And then come 3 weeks in to January and the motivation is gone. And I think motivation is fleeting. And in a world filled with just constant distractions, what strategies do you recommend for people keeping the focus on those long-term goals, staying with it?
So number one is, it's good to have the idea of what your long-term goal is. You need to know what it is, like what's the target you're going for. But then once you realize what the target is, get rid of it. Eliminate it from your mind. And you come back to what I call the commitment ladder. And so the commitment ladder has 5 rungs. And the bottom rung is this rung of I have to. I have to do my workout. I have to eat this way. I have to get up at this time. I have to. Whatever your have to is, there's very low commitment there. There's no commitment there because it's saying like, man, You don't have the privilege to. It's I have to do this. The next rung up is I'll do it until. So I'll do it until I get busy. I'll do it until it's inconvenient. I'll do it until it's too hard. I'll do it until I start traveling. So there's a caveat. So again, there's an escape level. It's like, oh, well, I was committed for a certain amount of time. Well, then you weren't committed. Like, it's very simple. The third is I'll try. And this is my favorite one, because this is where a lot of people find themselves, is in this I'll try bucket, and they convince themselves that they're committed. But at the end of the day, you've already got one foot out that side door. And so when something happens and you weren't able to get it done, or you weren't able to hold the standard that you set, it's like, well, I tried. You didn't try. I tried everything. No, you didn't. Because if you did, it would be done. It's that simple. And then when you go above it, it's yes or no. You're either yes committed or no, you're not. You've made a decision. It's been you've simply made that decision. And we all know what this is like. Anytime you've decided to do something, like truly decided to do something, it's not a matter of if or when it's going to get done. It's just done. It's already completed. I knew that I was going to be an author and write books and be on stages and speak. Nobody else knew that yet. It was just me that knew that. And so this is what I'm coming back to. And then the last rung, which is where magic happens, is it's whatever it takes. When you have a whatever it takes outlook, that's your level of commitment, that's the standard you set, then whatever it takes to get your workout in. You got 4 kids? Amazing. Probably means that you're up a little bit earlier. Maybe means that you structure your day around so you get a nap in the afternoon. Maybe means that you are able to give yourself 30 minutes of downtime. Maybe means that whatever, but you've got a whatever it takes mentality. And when you have a whatever it takes mentality, that's when you become a scary person. You become a scary person because you get things done. That's why I hate the concept of motivation. Well, I just don't have motivation. No, you just are not committed. That's it. You're just not a committed person. And that's okay. But let's just call a spade a spade. Let's call it what it is. Let's not say, I just don't have motivation. Justin, you're so inspiring. I need you to talk in my ear all the time. You don't need me talking in your ear. You need to spend less time listening to yourself and more time talking to yourself. You need to actually ask yourself, is this something I'm committed to? Is this something I'm committed to doing? Do I have a whatever it takes mentality? And once I have a whatever it takes mentality, now go seek the coach. Now go seek the leader. Now go seek the person who is where you want to be, so that they can guide you, so that they can hold you accountable, so they can walk you along that path. And you, because you said you're committed, are able to now do whatever it takes in order to get there. Because once you do that, the outcome is inevitable. It's already done. It's already done. And if we could actually wrap our head around the concept of, if you have imagined it, that imagination, that concept is already real. You just have to now take the steps necessary in order to get there. And once you do that, the outcome is inevitable. It's inevitable. And there's going to be some resistance along the way. There's going to be things you're going to have to endure. There's going to be some things that you're going to have to overcome. You're going to have to be in a little bit of tension. You're going to have to go through some refiner's fire, because what's in your mind and where you are currently, you are not able to handle the blessings that are on the other side of that. And so you have to be shaped in order to get there. And once you're shaped, it's magic.
Do you think that's why visualization as a tool is so powerful? Is being able to, because really, I mean, if you ask any high performing elite athlete, anyone, they will tell you, I see it in my mind before it ever actually happens.
God speaks in visions, dreams, imagination, creativity. That's it. People are like, I never hear the voice of God. I don't know what God sounds like. Have you ever had a dream? Have you had a vision? Have you ever gotten really creative? Have you ever gotten a download and just drawn something out and been like, man, this is what I see it being? You've heard God. He's speaking to you. You've got it already there. Now it's about being able to take the steps necessary in order to shape yourself into it. We all have if we realized the potential in which lives inside of us, that's when everything changes. And this is, I don't know necessarily where your audience sits in this area, but like I'm going to go here just because I feel like I should, is when we go back even to like the Adam and Eve story, the Genesis story, and Adam and Eve were so connected to God. They had the Garden of Eden. It was like them. It was pure. It was amazing. Don't think it's by accident that the first sin that separated us from God was something that we ate. It was something against our body. It was something against this thing that we're living in. And so the things that we eat, the way we exercise, the way we sleep, how we drink, the way we think, the environments we're in, the people we surround ourselves with, they matter more than anything. I go to Romans 12, 1 and 2. Therefore, brothers and sisters, use your body as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship. Don't conform to the patterns of the world, but rather be transformed by the renewing of your mind. When you come back, there's 7 words in there that I think people overlook, and it's this is your true and proper worship. I don't care if you go to church. I don't care if you raise your hands when you sing. I don't care if you read your Bible. Those are all great things. But how are you living? How are you treating this thing? What are your habits? What are your behaviors? What is the thing that you're doing to steward the temple, the greatest gift that you've ever been given, that ultimately carries your calling, carries your mission? And there's people waiting for you to get it through your head that you have to humble yourself to live differently so that you can gain the strength, gain the wisdom, gain the power, gain the ability, gain the confidence to step into what you've actually been called to do, because your calling is somebody else's miracle and it's waiting on the other side. And if we can help leaders be able to realize that their capacity expansion is not about them, but rather about everybody that they're helping, that's when everything changes. It's not about the 6-pack abs and the muscles. That's a beautiful side effect of actually living this way. But it's actually about the capacity that you gain and the reach in which you get to have to be able to operate at a higher level.
Taking us to church today. I love it. I love it. Last question. If it were your very last day on earth, time to go home, what is one piece of advice you would impart to the world?
I think it comes back to like that thing same thing I opened with. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I think it's the one thing that has just changed me in such a big way is be nothing. Be willing to be nothing. Be willing to become less so everybody else can become more. And if you can become less, your calling can become more. And that's when people will start to see the fruit all over you. And I'll kind of add a little something onto this, because like we live in this influencer world where attention is what everybody's after. How can I gain the attention of people? How can I gain people's attention? How can I get more people to see me? How can I get more people to see what I'm doing? When in actuality, if you could just live a little bit differently, the moment that you actually start to exude the fruit that other people are desiring, and it's not the fancy cars, it's not the fancy clothes, it's when you get to show up and you get to love on people, when you get to show up and you get to serve people, when you get to show up and people see patience all over you, when you show up and you light up a room because you're just joyful for being there and it's true and it's authentic, when people see the patience that you have with different people and different situations and different things going on, when people see your faith and the faithfulness that you have and the hopefulness that you have when things are really hard and really difficult, when the people see the self-control that you exude, it's like, man, how do I get that? How do I get that? Oh, and by the way, when you have those things, when you exude that fruit, the worldly things just seem to all of a sudden turn around and start chasing you. There's always more than enough business. There's always more than enough money. There's always more than enough vacations. There's always more than enough time. There's always more than enough opportunities. There's always more than enough things. But the more that we chase the things of the world, the harder it becomes to actually obtain them.
That is some powerful advice right there. Well, Justin, for everyone who wants to find out more about you, grab your books, follow you, consume your content that you're putting out there, where can they find you?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram at Justin, ROETH. So at Justin Roth. I've got a podcast myself. It comes out every single week called The Own It Show. And then if you want to know more about our business, more about everything that we're doing, get a copy of some of the books, you can go to ownitcoaching.com.
Cool. And I will put all of that information in the show notes. You can see all the links there. Justin, thank you so much for saying yes and being willing to come on and sharing such valuable insight and wisdom and experience with the audience.
That was great, Sonnie. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for listening and for being here on this journey with me. I hope you'll stick around. If you liked this episode, it would mean the world for me if you would rate and review the podcast or share it with someone you know may need to hear this message. I love to hear from you all and want you to know that you can leave me a voicemail directly. If you go to my website, evokegreatness.com, and go to the Contact Me tab, you'll just hit the big old orange button and record your message. I love the feedback and comments that I've been getting, so please keep them coming. I'll leave you with the wise words of author Robin Sharma. Greatness comes by doing a few small and smart things each and every day. It comes from taking little steps consistently. It comes from making a few small chips against everything in your professional and personal life that is ordinary, so that a day eventually arrives when all that's left is the extraordinary.